ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us at this evening. We would like to start our event, and first I would like to give the floor to President of Association of SA and Entrepreneurship, Mr. Simos Anastasiopoulos.
Well, good evening and welcome, Your Excellency, members of the Association, dear friends. It is a great pleasure to welcome today our distinguished friends from Kazakhstan. I visited Kazakhstan in 2019 with my other capacity as a president of the Council of Competitiveness of Greece, and I was really impressed by a country that has made very significant progress during the time. Our friends from Kazakhstan also visited Athens last year when we organized here the Global Innovation Summit. It was another opportunity to share our ideas and our relationship, enhance our relationship with them. So it gives me great pleasure today to be present in the signature of the Memorandum of Understanding between the Institute of Foreign Policy Relations of Kazakhstan, of the Ministry of from Kazakhstan, and our institute in the association. I am very lucky that previous presidents of the association were perceptive enough to have created this Institute of International Economic Relations here, because this gives an advantage, an edge to the association to be able to promote not only business, commerce and trade between the countries and neighboring countries, but also through economic relations be able to promote its position, ideas, and establish a different position than the other associations. I would like to personally thank the chairman of our institute, Mr. Tsartanidis, for this initiative, as well as, of course, the chairman of the Institute of Foreign Relations of Kazakhstan, President Nurmaliyev, if I'm pronouncing the name correctly. Right. And thank you all for being here with us tonight, and allow me to return the floor to our distinguished fellow here.
It's opening remarks from His Excellency Ambassador Irlan Bodayev.
Thank you. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, it is a great pleasure for me to be at this momentous occasion of the signing ceremony of the MOU between the Institute of International Economic Relations and the Foreign Policy Research Institute. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude for the efforts made to come to this establishment, firstly by Dr. Tsartanidis and Ambassador Nurgaliyev, as well as the staff of the two institutes. I look forward to seeing the good results that this agreement will bring for both institutes, and I hope it will further facilitate academic and research exchanges between the countries. I would like to take this opportunity to elaborate about bilateral relations between the two countries. Kazakhstan and Greece enjoy a very friendly and trusting relationship. The official visit of then Minister of Foreign Affairs Nikolaos Dendias to Astana on December 2022 gave a new impetus to the development of political ties. On October, in Astana, we successfully held the 5th meeting of the Intergovernmental Commission on Economic and Technological Cooperation. The opening of the Kazakh Hellenic Business Council on June 20th shows the growing mutual interest of the business communities of Kazakhstan and Greece. As a practical result of these efforts, in 2023, bilateral trade hit the record and Greece became the 6th largest trade partner of Kazakhstan among the EU countries, with more than $2.2 billion in trade turnover. Kazakhstan is implementing wide-ranging structural economic reforms which have a lot in common with the national strategy for extraversion of the Hellenic Republic, like digitalization, industrial development, strengthening of the social sector, and attracting foreign investment. People-to-people ties remain the vital foundation of the bilateral relations because of the presence of 10,000 Greeks in Kazakhstan and more than 40,000 Greeks who have repatriated to Greece from Kazakhstan. We call this living bridge between our two countries. Greece also becoming a very popular tourist destination for Kazakhstan citizens since national carrier Air Astana began operating a direct flight from Almaty to Heraklion in Crete. I hope that today's establishment of a long-term partnership between the two institutions will boost academic exchanges and be an excellent addition to the further development of bilateral relations between Kazakhstan and Greece. Ευχαριστώ πολύ για την προσοχή σας.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite Ambassador Gani and Professor Sardeniki for the signing ceremony of MOU between the Foreign Policy Research Institute and the Institute of International Economic Relations. Now, I'd like to invite Ambassador Nurgaliyev for his lecture, Central Asia and European Union in the context of new geopolitical realities.
У меня будет маленькое видение, чтобы вас представить. Ladies and gentlemen, Excellencies, distinguished members of the business and academic communities, the diplomatic corps, my name is Plamen Tonchev. I'm the head of Asia Unit here at the Institute of International Economic Relations. And I'll be happy to moderate the discussion after Ambassador Nurgaliyev presents his thoughts. But let me quickly say a couple of things that I think might be useful. First of all, let me say that contrary to what many people think, or some people think here in Greece, Central Asia is not that far away from Greece. In fact, there are very many bonds between Greece and Central Asia, going back to history, but also to people exchanges, economic ties, and all that. Secondly, Central Asia is a very complicated region, which makes it fascinating. And fascinating it certainly is. because of its rich history, because of contradictions as well, because of its geopolitical importance. China and Russia are next door. Iran and Afghanistan are next door. Turkey is not too far away. India and Pakistan are not too far away. The United States does not have any military presence in Central Asia anymore, but of course it does have its political sway. And of course the European Union is a major actor in Central Asia. It is the biggest investor in the region and the biggest provider of development aid. Now, I don't want to take any more of your time. Let me simply present our distinguished speaker. First of all, you know who he is, but let me tell you what he's done in his long career. His long career in the diplomatic corps, to begin with. Ambassador Nurgaliev started out his career serving in the embassies of Kazakhstan in, well, the Soviet Union back then, right? In Pakistan and India. And later on, he served as ambassador of the Republic of Kazakhstan to the United States, the Republic of Korea, Japan, and Israel. From 2007 to 2009, he served as Secretary General of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization based in China. And then in 2010, he was one of the important figures in Kazakhstan, performing its role as the chairman of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, OSCE. Since 2019, Ambassador Nurgaliev has been on the board of the Institute for Foreign Policy Research, and 3 years ago he became the chairman of the board. So in trying to find a speaker about Central Asia, we couldn't have thought of a more appropriate choice. Ambassador Nurgaliev, we are very eager to hear your thoughts on Central Asia and the EU in the what challenging new context. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Tonchev. Your Excellency, Ambassador Bogdarbek Korzhatayev, Dr. Rampos Sardanidis, President Simos Anastopoulos, dear ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. First of all, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the leadership of the International Economic Research Institute for its kind invitation to deliver my views on the topic which Mr. Tonchev has announced. Just now we signed the Memorandum of Understanding between the Institute of Foreign Policy Research of Kazakhstan and the Hellenic Institute of Economic Research. And my presentation today can be considered the first event in what I hope will be very fruitful, mutually beneficial partnership between our two analytical structures. Conventional perception is that European states established relations with Kazakhstan after it gained independence in 1991. But in fact, our relations can be traced back to several centuries, to Middle Ages, at least judging by documentary evidence. And what can be more convincing than cartography? I have a friend in Astana, Professor Muhit Ardager Sidik-Nazarov, who for 17 years, on his own initiative, on his own enthusiasm, and for most part on his own money, was studying maps as major part of his scientific research in Polish, Hellenic, Dutch, Belgian, French, German, Austrian, Italian, Irish, Scottish universities, libraries, and museums. He studied 1,200 maps of what is now called Eurasia. These maps made by European travelers, geographers, and cartographers. And these maps and accompanying written descriptions and drawings clearly show that at least since the 16th century, the Kazakh sovereign nation has been meeting all the 4 criteria prescribed in the Montevideo Convention of 1933 on the rights and duties of states. A, permanent population. B, territory. C, government. And D, ability to conduct relations with other countries, with other states. So my friend Muhit Ardager produced a huge 525 pages thick volume weighing about 7 kilograms with unique maps and scientific description of written and graphic data. This book is titled Uninterrupted History of Nationhood in Kazakhstan, the Kazakh State in European and American maps of 16th-19th century. Today I spoke with him. He called me on another business when he learned out that I am in Athens. He said that for his next edition, he will be using some of the maps that he found here in the Greek and Hellenic museums and libraries. So whenever there is a claim by some foreign politicians or so-called experts on Central Asia that Kazakhstan has no history as an independent state, we, the Kazakh scholars and diplomats, suggest to skeptics to check their false assumptions against documentary evidence of the Middle Ages European scholars. So in a way, we may say that the European sources are practically useful in the process of defending our sovereignty and territorial integrity, and of course we are grateful for this. Kazakhstan, as other 4 Central Asian republics, from the outset of their independence, consistently maintained strong political and economic cooperation with the European Union in all dimensions. That is namely international and regional security, social, economic, and judicial reforms, cultural development, of course, energy and investment, effective use of the transit potential of the region, modernization of logistics, and many other fields. For example, 10 years ago, Kazakhstan was the first Central Asian republic to conclude the enhanced partnership and cooperation agreement with the EU. Since then, other Central Asian states signed similar APCAs, but Kazakhstan again is the only one out of these 5 which ratified this agreement. And the Kazakh EU EPCA sets 4 distinct goals. First, building sufficient institutional framework for cooperation. Two, supporting Kazakhstan's democratization and market-based economic development. Three, facilitating trade and investment. And fourth, building strong collaborations in energy and transport fields. Examining the experience of the Kazakh European Union partnership, one has to conclude that the EU has played and will be playing very significant role in both domestic and foreign policies of Kazakhstan. Moreover, under the current geopolitical tensions and alarming instability in the in international relations, the EU plays instrumental role by advocating the need for stronger regional dialogue within Central Asia, opening vast opportunities for leading economies of our region, that's Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, to serve as drivers for effective resolution of social and economic problems of lesser developed neighbors. Official statistics, and it has been referred to by Ambassador Baudurek Kuratayev, indicate that out of $350 billion which have come to Kazakhstan during 3 decades of its independence as direct foreign investment, nearly half comes from is of European origin. 40% of Kazakh foreign trade is with the EU. Its monetary value is $40 billion. More than 3,000 European companies operate in our country, among them transnationals like Shell, Eni, Total, Air Liquide, Alstom, Siemens, and besides traditional venues of industrial cooperation, we are opening new horizons in such innovative fields as mining of rare earth metals and production of green hydrogen. Recently, there was quite a breakthrough with the groundbreaking ceremony for the construction of construction by a German-Swedish company, Svevind, of a wind and solar power manufacturing plant and production of 3 million tons of green hydrogen, which is about 20% of what European Union countries need as far as this product is concerned. So Kazakhstan offers to the European market not only raw materials, but finished value-added products related to machine building, steel and iron production, food processing, and agricultural goods. Of course, time flies, and geopolitical and geoeconomic realities change so fast that governments and other state institutions hardly catch up with adjusting their strategies, updating and upgrading assumptions, and the implementation of different roadmaps. Just 5 years ago, the European Union adopted its strategy in relations with the Central Asian as a region and with the 5 republics individually. Nowadays, 5 years passed, and nowadays there is concurrence among the EU institutions that this strategy is outdated, that it is to be reassessed in light of, as is the thinking among the European institutions in light of the Russian-Ukrainian military conflict, which within 6 days will be 2 years long. The developments in Afghanistan after the Taliban movement came to power. And the third factor, which is mentioned, is the intensification of China-West rivalry in all directions, including in Central Asian region. A month ago, an overwhelming majority of the European parliamentarians, European Parliament members, voted in favor of a resolution to reconsider the EU strategy towards Central Asian states by expanding political and economic cooperation with them. European parliamentarian from Germany, Carsten Lucke, is the author, initiator of the report on the EU strategy, justified reconsideration as a pressing necessity of looking for new ways to establish new partnerships in the changed geopolitical environment. I remember that immediately after the adoption of the EU's Central Asia strategy of 2019, some of Kazakh experts were expressing skepticism over the expected, anticipated effectiveness of the strategy, pointing out to lack of specifics and somewhat distorted optics. My personal impression of the document at that time was that this strategy, which was well intentioned and thought out, all the dimensions were present, but there is this difficulty of finding a right balance between treating Central Asia as a wholesome phenomena and differentiating each 5 republics' specific characteristics and development needs. For example, since I am a Kazakh native, I think I understand better peculiarities of our profile as a country. And maybe I'm not criticizing them, but unlike our neighbors, Kazakhstan in many respects is more European state than what you might expect to be of a conventional, traditional, Oriental country. And these respects, in my opinion, are that this pointed Eurasianism. So because we're discussing it with our colleagues prior to a meeting here in this audience, that Kazakhstan is both in Asia but also in Europe, and hence this pointed Eurasianism. Besides that is secularism accompanied by religious tolerance, a government policy of promoting harmony in interethnic relations, trilingualism, English spoken widely across our country, along with the Kazakh and the Russian. Civic conception of the nation, education system standards, consistency of in offering itself as the bridge in civilizational dialogue, pronounced desire to draw from European experience of economic development and modernization of political system. Kazakhstan along with other Central Asian republics, is a member of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. You might remember that at the time immediately after the collapse of the disintegration of the Soviet Union, there was a heated debate here in the West whether it would not be an overstretch of traditional perceptions of geography to include Central Asian state republics to an European institution. Nevertheless, at that time, the notion prevailed that the effective management of security issues in Europe and Eurasia demanded involvement of all former Soviet republics. And from the very beginning of its membership, Kazakhstan pursued active and extensive participation in the OSCE and deserved the organization's rotating chairmanship in 2010, which culminated in the long due, nearly 11 years passed since Istanbul summit of the OSCE, the Astana summit of the organization, and the adoption of the Astana Declaration towards a community of security, a comprehensive document still retaining its relevancy, especially in turbulent environment of heated debates over the future of the OSCE. Unfortunately, the spirit of cooperation and mutual accommodation of conflicting interests of participating states has been replaced by ideological rivalry, mutual distrust, and division of member countries into friendlies and adversaries, friendlies and opponents, which, of course, is, in my opinion, totally wrong. And as a matter of principle, Kazakhstan consistently calls for return to normalcy in interstate relations as the only viable option of stepping back from the precipice of uncompromising confrontation. We are unwaveringly committed to the concept of comprehensive, cooperation-based, equal and indivisible security, which combines maintaining peace with respect of human rights and basic freedoms, as it follows from the UN Charter, the Helsinki Final Act, the Paris Charter, the Charter of European Security, and all other documents agreed upon among the civilized members of the international community. Indivisible security means equal rights of everyone to security, and no yielding to temptation to strengthen your security at the expense of security of another country. No need, in opinion of Kazakh diplomacy, Kazakh diplomats, to invent new rules. Everything that is necessary to preserve peace and stability is a prerequisite for sustainable progress of the humankind as a whole and of individual states has already been negotiated. The only problem is honoring your own obligations under signed and ratified treaties, agreements, charters, and conventions. Pacta sunt servanda, universal core principle of international law. And of course, if every state in good faith and fully abides by its international obligations. There would be no complications in geopolitical environment the way we unfortunately witness currently. So returning to the topic of the European Union renewed strategy in our region. Among priority venues of cooperation should be development of transport and logistics infrastructure. Special, I would say, strategic significance acquires the Trans-Caspian International Transport Route, also known as the Middle Corridor. Yesterday, I came actually to the Athens besides participating in today's event. Yesterday, there was this international forum organized by the Balkans and Black Sea Forum with the topic of trading arteries and global supply chains, new order trends, and what can be done. And my presentation was on the topic of the Middle Corridor. So, President of Kazakhstan, Kassym-Jomart Tokayev, speaking last June at the Central Asia European Union Summit in the Kyrgyz resort town of Isyk-Kul, highlighted the Middle Corridor's role in enhancing interaction between our two regions, Central Asia and Europe. So Kazakhstan and China started in 2023, last year, construction of the first-class logistics terminal in Xi'an, a dry port, designated to dispatch direct container trains from China across Central Asia to in the direction or in the European direction. Every day, the Kazakh railways process more than 100 cargo trains delivering containers with goods from China to Europe and vice versa. And further development of the Middle Corridor is interlinked with the Chinese Belt and Road Initiative. I believe that there is every reason to connect the Middle Corridor and the BRI, Belt and Road Initiative, with the European Global Gateway Initiative. So we are happy to see that this approach is shared by European leaders, for example, underlining that Central Asia has become a crucial partner for the European Union. High Representative Josep Borrell said at the Brussels Forum 2 weeks ago that while in the past Central Asia was a little bit in the middle of nowhere, now Central Asia is in the middle of everything. He went even further, stating that everything that matters between Europe and Asia goes through you, addressing the Central Asian participants. Of course, Mr. Borrell wanted to flatter his Central Asian partners, but his remarks truly reflect significant transformation of ground reality in the region. Along with the perception by outside players of strategic value of cooperation with Central Asia. My only wish is that Central Asian strategic value is recognized for good reasons of using the region's comparative advantages for common benefit, not out of necessity to look for additional ways to inflict more damage to your adversaries or pull Central Asian republics into taking sides in geostrategic rivalry between conflicting camps. The EU has already pledged 10 billion euros investment in the Middle Corridor. Vice Chair of the European Commission, Valdis Dombrovskis, announced that the sum would be spent to promote sustainable transport communication in Central Asia. We will watch how the EU and the European Commission mobilizes the announced amount through its own allocations, commitments of the European Investment Bank, and some additional funding within the framework of the so-called open architecture of the EC investment guarantees. The scope of the project goes beyond Central Asia, European Union connectivity. Restoration of the ancient Silk Road implies linking Europe and China through Central Asia, South Caucasus, Turkey, and South Asia, eventually South Asia at some point. Quite rightly, we are engaged in discussion of the ways to diversify routes for delivery of energy resources. Currently, 80%, that's major part, of the Kazakh crude oil is exported to Europe through the Caspian Pipeline Consortium, starting from our oil fields in the Caspian Basin all the way to the Russian Black Sea port of Novorossiysk. It is commercially viable, as recognized by all international partners of Kazakhstan in the consortium. While we count on long-term and stable usage of this strategic pipeline for the European needs, it would be prudent to develop oil export operations in other directions. And from early in 2023, 1.5 million tons of the Kazakh crude oil is channeled through Aktau, Baku, Tbilisi, Ceyhan pipeline, with planned doubling of the volume by 2025. And we intend to expand oil delivery in the route of Aktau-Batumi. The Kazakh oil started to flow to Germany via Friendship pipeline. Initial volumes are modest, but potentially it can reach 1.2 million tons annually and increase further in future. As locomotives of Central Asian integration, Kazakhstan closely interacts with another leading economy of the region, that's the Republic of Uzbekistan. And together we attach great importance to issues of environmental degradation, climate change, water resources management, and development of renewable energy sources. We believe that within the Global Gateway Strategy and Team Europe initiative, the EU and Central Asian countries need to join efforts in introducing principles of closed cycle economy. Equally important venues of Central Asia, European Union partnership are spheres of education and science, high tech and innovations. Practical measures in all the above mentioned areas, including reforms, economy, trade, green energy, connectivity, humanitarian aspects, are agreed upon in the joint roadmap for deepening ties between Central Asia and the European Union, endorsed in October 2023, when foreign ministers of 5 Central Asian republics met foreign ministers for the 27 European Union member states, the first meeting at such a level since the establishment of our relations between EU and Central Asia. It's very encouraging that these high-level meetings are becoming regular practice. Final point, we acknowledge and appreciate the role that the United States and the European Union played in undisputable achievements of Central Asian social and economic development, in strengthening nationhood and state sovereignty of all 5 republics, especially in the early stage of their independence. The range, scale, and depth of commitments of the West to the well-being of our region is indeed impressive. But I would caution against expectations of immediate transformation and abrupt shifts in relations with outside powers. They have to be adjusted by recognition and respect of the factual truth that Central Asian states now are masters of their own destiny, that they cherish their long-awaited ability to determine the course of their domestic and foreign policy. Times of big games in Central Asia, when nations inhabiting the region were considered objects of policy of great powers, these times are gone. Future of our relations will be determined by one factor alone, that they are to be beneficial to all parties. I do hope that this will be reflected in the renewed strategy of the European Union for Central Asia. And that's the closing point. And thank you so much for your kind attention.
Well, thanks very much, Ambassador, for a comprehensive and yet succinct overview. I will use my privilege as a moderator, but I will not abuse it. Only one question before I give the floor to the audience as well. You closed your talk with this point about an updated EU strategy for Central Asia being beneficial to all parties. And I suppose you made some compelling arguments why it is already outdated. Because of the Ukraine-Russia war, because of the Taliban taking over in Afghanistan, because of the West versus China standoff and all that. I suppose these are points that nobody can dismiss. But in order for an updated EU strategy to be beneficial to all parties, could you give us some examples of what new elements should be included in that strategy? We will very much appreciate your ideas on this.
Well, I believe that the focus should remain on the economic aspects of our cooperation, on the issues of which are common for the whole region. And now, if we look at the picture, the overall picture, we see that these are concerns about environmental degradation, about renewable energy sources, about fair, rational distribution of water resources. This is very acute field, sphere. Introduction of new technologies, modernization of the healthcare system, education, as the most effective investment in the future of the region by promoting the human potential. The majority of the population in practically all Central Asian republics, that's a young generation, and the future depends on how they will be adjusting. Also, the problem of creating new jobs, because that's a very acute problem. as you know, a lot of people from less developed republics of Central Asia look for employment elsewhere in the immediate neighborhood and beyond. On one hand, this might be kind of a reflection of the global trend that labor migration might be a good thing, because if people go get some additional skills and are able to use the money that they earn to support their families, that's good, but also in a way it's a loss for their republics, because at the prime of their life, the lack of opportunity to find meaningful employment in their own, and it's a big demotivator. And these are the fields which I believe we should work together with the European Union by way of. But it's not also the thing. I mean, in general, I try to put this in the spirit of my presentation. It's not that we are looking for some sort of charity gesture from the European. We believe that this is in the mutual interests of our two parts of the world, arranging interconnectivity on the belief, which I believe is shared belief, that it shouldn't be a matter of, it shouldn't be indifferent to the way things are in a region which may be geographically not too close to you, because now we see that everything is so interconnected, interlinked, for example, with EU and, for example, Afghanistan, and what should be done about Afghanistan. So where we would try to, again, combine our efforts in order to return this long-suffering country back to normalcy. We don't want a repeat of the situation when Taliban came first to power in 1996. So that will be total failure, not only on the part of the ruling regime there in Afghanistan, but of the international community as a whole. We, as immediate neighbors of Afghanistan, are concerned about its developments. But it's also in the interests of the European countries, because you're invested hugely into the stability and security of the country since September 11. But whether you have to wash your hands after the withdrawal, it would be a very effective strategy. I believe the answer is quite evident. And the factor about China-West rivalry. So since the European politicians are explaining the necessity to renew the strategy in light of what is happening in the relations, like I said, we don't think it is productive to further deepen this rivalry or view China as a negative factor for, because the way we look at our participation, for example, in the BRI, we see the only benefit, no downside now. And quite, so the BRI is 10 years old. And all these 10 years, whole decade, we see only positive things. And that's what we would like to share. I know that, for example, the Hellenic Republic enjoys good relations with China. The economic cooperation is very active. So it's something to share with the other European countries, not to view the Chinese economic activity as a source of threat or some sort of challenge which has to be, counter reacted. Because, frankly, we don't see any threat or any risk associated with maintaining active economic cooperation with China.
All right, thanks very much. I'm now turning to the audience. In case you have any questions or comments, I will simply ask you to please identify yourself and your affiliation. Please.
Good evening. My name is Thrasi Marketos from the University of Peloponnese. I would like to express my gratitude for your Excellency's presence here. And if you permit me, I would like to address a question regarding the connection, the possibility of connection between BRI of China and Middle Corridor through the Caspian Sea and Black Sea, and the role that Turkey might play in this direction. Thank you very much.
I wonder if there are some other questions. Do not be shy, please go ahead. Well, there seems to be one over there. I suggest, Ambassador, you take the questions and then address them as you deem fit. Yes, please.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Thank you very much for a very interesting presentation. And my name is Panos Tsakalogiannis, retired professor of European Affairs at the University of the Peloponnese. I would like to ask you a question which has to do about the institutional framework of cooperation between the Central Asian nations with the European Union. Since I've done some work on this subject, especially relations of the European Union with ASEAN, and also with LAFTA, the Latin American Free Trade Area, I wonder whether in the last 30 years, since the collapse of the Soviet Union, more could have been done to upgrade and create a more coherent institutional framework, like the one which is with ASEAN, for example, in conducting economic but also political and social issues between the two regions. My experience is that, having spent some time in Germany, that the Germans were quite keen on doing some work on the problem of water shortages in some republics. I think it's Turkmenistan, if I'm not wrong. So I would like to have your experience, whether, because you are more coherent, your nations, than the case of the ASEAN, which is very scattered over a very broad geographical region. I would like to have your expert view on this subject. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, please, go ahead. I suggest we take 3 questions and then...
So, microphone.
Thank you very much. I'd like to have some comments of you about, as a former Secretary General of Shanghai Cooperation Organization, not only because you are a former Secretary General, but your country this year has the presidency of the organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Ambassador. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much. These are very interesting and deep questions about the connection between the BRI and the Middle Corridor and the role that Turkey plays and may play in future. We believe that the middle corridor is the opportunity to develop alternative way for the adjusting to the situation which evolved when the usage of the northern corridor through the territory of Russia became problematic because of the Western sanctions against Russia. On the understanding that the development to the appropriate level of the middle corridor, the capacity has the expansion of the capacity needs billions and billions of dollars of investment. Plus, this is time consuming. We see that it will not be a total replacement of the northern corridor, of course, because the capacity of the northern corridor, the infrastructure there was developed much somewhere in the past, and in anticipation that at one point it will be, depending on the situation, it will be somehow resolved, and the use of the northern corridor will be again acceptable to the Western partners. But the investment in the middle corridor will still be worthwhile because it has comparative advantages. For example, it is, if this northern corridor is just slightly less than 14,000 kilometers, the middle corridor is 11,000 corridors. It's 2,500 kilometers shorter. The duration of the delivery is by 7-8 days shorter sooner than using potentially the northern corridor. The problem is about the effectiveness of it, doing with the bottlenecks. There are several bottlenecks. The necessity to double reloading, because, for example, the northern corridor has advantage that it's all-way railways, so using railway. But in case of the middle corridor, so we have to use railway, then ferry, reload, railway, it's losing, it's time consuming, it adds to the cost. So all these problems have to be resolved, but they are manageable if there is a goodwill on the part of those who are using and those who are playing the role of the transit countries. And in this respect, besides, say, China, Europe, and the link through the territory of Kazakhstan, then across the Caspian Sea to Azerbaijan, then Georgia, and coming to the Turkish ports, and then to the Mediterranean, and then reaching European destinations. There is a joint venture between these four, that's Kazakhstan, Azerbaijan, Georgia, and Turkey, with a goal of synchronizing the resolution of the bureaucratic procedures, and in this way resolving the issue of seamless passage of cargo. This serious effort, and well, much depends on the on arranging the financing. So Kazakhstan and Azerbaijan are ready to contribute. Of course, we count on the ability of Ankara to invest, and everybody seemed to be on the same page as for the development of the. For the Chinese, this falls within the framework of the BRI, which is good. The commitment is very serious, and recognition of the fact that, for example, Kazakhstan's role in the implementation of the BRI is essential. For example, Chairman Xi Jinping chose Astana as the place to announce the BRI 10 years ago, 11 years ago, which is, of course, as you know, the Chinese never do anything just by chance. So it's a well thought out move, in recognition that Kazakhstan and other Central Asian republics are essential for the successful implementation of the BRI. So I see that Turkey will be interested for many reasons, not out of some charity considerations, but for the practical payoff from the involvement. About the institutional, the second question, institutional framework of activities between Central Asia and the European Union. Renewed strategy or the adjustments, the political considerations, explanation for the necessity, they may be set aside because in the long run, what is commercially viable will be implemented. On the anticipation that, for example, all these things, they are provisionally transitory character. I don't know. Who knows? 2025, what will be happening with the Russian-Ukrainian conflict? Maybe it will be somewhere in the past, hopefully. The Taliban government, maybe they will consolidate their hold of power and become more acceptable to the international community. And slowly but surely they will be recognized as, well, maybe not entirely normal, but acceptable as rulers of the country, guided by the same concern about the well-being of the population. They don't show much in terms of this particular category, but, well, certain things are present there, some encouraging signs. For example, quite recently, a couple of days ago, Kazakhstan withdrew Afghanistan from the list of terrorists, Taliban from the list of terrorist organizations, which is a reflection of that in practice, there was a lot of debate about whether the Taliban of '96 and the Taliban of 2020 are the same guys. And seems to be they learned certain things and they act differently. Though, of course, they record in terms of the respect of women's rights and the education of the youth is still not the way we would like them to see. Though we recognize that it's better to talk with them. So maybe one of the, we're kind of talking about the institutional framework, we should think with the European partners about inclusion of Afghanistan into the overall concept of bigger Central Asia, because they seem to be nowhere. They don't belong to South Asia. They not for obvious reasons. we do not view them as purely Central Asian republics at the same light as, for example, Kazakhstan or Uzbekistan, because of their poor record in terms of respect of human rights and basic freedoms. But things are changing, and if the question is asked, what should be done? Then the answer would be that better to maintain dialogue, better to get them involved instead of pushing them as unacceptable force, which we have to recognize ground reality that they are there, they are calling shots, and they are going to stay because they seem to be acceptable to the majority of the population, to the majority of Afghans, irrespective of what those who were ousted from power are saying. That's their position. Of course, they need to form an inclusive government by introducing non-Taliban elements into the decision-making process. But if we kind of apply this standard, we can compile a whole list of countries which have similar problems with the inclusiveness, with the respect for rights of minorities or religious groups, or for example, for women. And the question is, of course, that whether including them into the regional cooperation would be pushing them, or just slowly, without sharp shifts, in the right direction. The water shortages, it's a good example that if we watch developments in the regional cooperation in Central Asia, we see that there's more cooperation, more will, more desire to interact and find common solution for common problems. For example, the relation between Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan. There were armed clashes in the even a year ago because of water problems. They have come to their senses and decided to resolve the issues in a peaceful way, which is very encouraging, and that should be, but still that problem is very acute. And for example, returning back to Afghanistan, they have ambitious plans to develop hydroelectric power generation in the upper stream, which will be affecting the downstream countries. And what to do? Start war, some hostility, or try to find some accommodation. And Uzbekistan, for very pragmatic reasons, decided to compromise with the Taliban government by inviting them to arrange, to come to some accommodation which would be taking care of the interests of both the needs of Afghanistan, which are very much there, but also taking into consideration basic interests of the downstream countries. So what has been done so far, when we are talking in general about the institutional framework, it should be respected and should be considered as a good, solid basis for building the partnership cooperation further up. Renewed or revisited strategy doesn't mean that we should once and for all cross out what has been done in the past and think it shouldn't be kind of a fashionable thing. When Gorbachev started his perestroika under the slogan of new thinking. I remember there was this story reported in the media that the Pope was asked what is his opinion about the new thinking announced in the Soviet Union. And the Pope said that, I don't get it. What is new thinking? I can respect that there is the right thinking and maybe wrong thinking, but new, it's something which I don't understand even if I try. So the approach of the European Union to development of relations with the Central Asian countries was the right one from the very beginning. It's just a matter of specifying and maybe putting more stress into the individual needs of countries which are part of the region, including Afghanistan, and of course promoting regional integration. And quite frankly, in the past, when people were studying the situation in Central Asia, so there was a lot of discussion about rivalry, saying that this country is jealous of that. So these people are not happy with their neighbors because they are better off, or they have more resources, or they have more water, and so they are lucky. And they are not helping much. But now the situation changed for the better, and it's a real practical improvement because the spirit of cooperation is prevailing. Much depended, quite frankly, on the atmosphere in the relations between Astana and Tashkent. And we have to acknowledge that there were problems in the past. But since the new leadership came to power in Tashkent, in Uzbekistan, so this new approach to develop relations with, for example, with Kazakhstan and the whole, with the region, which is a good thing, something which was necessary. So again, adjustment of the strategy has to take into consideration that there are new opportunities besides the new challenges and new risks which we cannot control, but the opportunities are there, and the task is to avail them. Now, about the priorities of Kazakhstan's chairmanship of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. So we were, from the very beginning, acting as the party which doesn't give just. Sometimes there is a perception that Shanghai Cooperation Organization is about China. So, so China is calling shots, and China is prevailing. It is imposing its agenda. From my personal experience as the Secretary General, I didn't see that, because there is this genuine, sincere desire to work together, and the whole idea is that we have common challenges, we have common problems. Let's find a common solution, be it security, be it economic cooperation, and people-to-people ties, exchanges. So on all these three dimensions, so the promotion of cooperation has visible progress, and Kazakhstan. So you know that this chairmanship is an annual thing. So it's a rotating chairmanship, and each country wants to offer something new. Kazakhstan, while offering to enhance cooperation, for example, in the political sphere and security also introduces new elements like sharing its experience in digitalization of the economy, offering the financial service development in Kazakhstan as an example for others to follow. We have this Astana International Financial Center. The platform of this is offered to all other 9 member states. Because of the membership of, because new members came, like India and Pakistan, and now recently Iran, they are bringing their own issues on the agenda. It has to be respected because they have their legitimate concerns, and each state, first of all, pursues its own interests. So that has to be viewed as the kind of natural thing, which, well, life is, of course, not easy with the new members, but Kazakhstan wants to make throughout these 12 months of its chairmanship some positive developments to happen. Usually when we offer initiative, we simultaneously provide for resources which are necessary, because one of the problems, if you'll be asking me what, that a lot of initiatives not supported by actual commitments in terms of money or other type of resources. And that is kind of disease which was following the organization throughout all these years. But now things are changing because well, this is recognition, based on the success of the BRI. Why BRI is more effective than other initiatives, projects, because the Chinese, for every project, they're not just offering it, they are saying, that's the money that we are ready to invest, and if a decision is made, you may be sure that this financial side will be covered. While in many other projects, the thing is that the initiative is announced, the idea is promoted, but since there is no financial backing, it dies on its own till the next summit when the new initiative will be offered. And so that is something like a vicious circle. Everybody wants to offer new ideas, but if they are not backed by specific commitments, that is, but again, if from summit to summit the recognition is followed at the level of the leaders, then it translates into practical activities. So the SCO of my time is very much different from the SCO of today. So we are learning, it's learning experience, nobody is perfect, but what is important is that everybody wishes the same thing, progress, beneficial distribution of resources, so that those which are less developed, which are less fortunate, will get something from those who have sufficient resources. And this is a matter of how willing those who are more effective, have better functioning economy, to share their benefits and the recognition. As far as Kazakhstan is concerned, so we are strong believers that success should be shared. And for the countries which for objective reasons, not because they, not working hard, but just they lack resources the way, for example, we have wealth of resources. It's a matter of using and then sharing this success story with neighbors.
Thanks very much, Ambassador. I'm afraid that our time is up, and I do hope that nobody has been left with a burning question on his or her lips. I suggest that we wrap it up at this point. Let me tell you that there's a cocktail waiting for you. Hopefully that will reward you for this abrupt ending. But Ambassador Nurgaliev, let me thank you once again cordially for this comprehensive talk, for your very thoughtful presentation, and I'm sure that everybody has learned a lot. Thanks very much indeed.